Good afternoon, evening, whichever fucking bit of time it is when you're watching this. So I am going to do some short, well, as short as they can be because these are complex subjects, videos on equipment. So equipment boils down into a few different things. Obviously you've got fucking base equipment that you have where you live or where you're fucking working from. My fucking forward operating base where I am right now. And then it comes down to things like your personal equipment. So if you're just starting out getting your shit together for a fucking collapse scenario, just general prepping for, you know, there's a million, although we're going through all of this shit right now, there's a million other fucking things that can go wrong, right? We're in a very interdependent supply chain. Everything's globalized now. Fucking solar flare comes off the fucking sun, which could happen at any fucking moment. It will take out the entire electrical grid and we go back to the fucking Stone Age. That could happen in an instant. But obviously we're in the fucking pandemic and we've got issues with supply chains. Things could fucking go horribly, horribly wrong. So first principles, the way to start building up your equipment is don't start with all the stuff for fucking home. Start with your personal survival equipment. That's the shit that if your fucking house burns down, if fucking something goes wrong, an electrical fire, you grab your fucking gear, it's ready to go in one bag, and that shit will keep you alive, right? And this is going to break down into various different subsections. So you're going to need things like bags, sleeping gear, your fucking your clothing, what it's made of, the types of materials, boots, cutting tools, for making things like shelter, hunting, skinning game, making trap components, getting into fucking food sources, all this sort of shit. So with that said, the principles of staying alive are the principles of keeping your body within a certain temperature range, thermoregulation. That comes down to environment, clothing, heat, which comes from things like fire, and heat that your body generates from food that you eat and the air that you breathe, metabolizing, creating heat. So all of these things are little subsections, but it all comes down to maintaining core body temperature. So the most important tool for me, apart from my clothing, is a cutting tool, a decent cutting tool. And some people prefer, there are different ways that different people prefer to do this, and it depends on the environment that you're in. So in the northern climates, a really great option is to go with a small knife, say with a 4-inch blade, something like that, and an axe and a folding saw. Those things together means that you can cover all fucking bases. Cutting firewood with a saw is way more energy efficient than trying to hack through it with a fucking axe. Axes are great for splitting wood, and but in order to become skillful with an axe, like really skillful, it takes a lot of practice, and they are a very dangerous tool to use. So I will put together a video on how to use an axe safely, what to look for in types of axes, but I won't cover that in this. So for me, shit hits the fucking fan. The first thing, this is my fucking setup here, right? So it's already on a belt. I've got my multi-tool on there. I've got a fire steel inside here so I can make fire and a fire kit. I won't go into that now. But the main thing I want to talk about now is my fucking knife, right? I made this knife from scratch. It's actually 2 knives on one, because if you go for one knife, it's always a trade-off. So this, if the fucking everything goes wrong and I can grab one thing, this is what it's going to be. And I'm going to go through a few of the characteristics here. So like I said, 2 knives covering 2 different purposes. The big knife, the big chopper, I can use this for fucking breaking down timber. I can open the rib cage of a deer with it. I can use it in a self-defense purpose if I need to, but that's not the main thing this is designed for. It's not really, that's not what this blade shape is designed for. It's in a sheath that's made of Kydex rather than leather, although it's in a leather belt. Kydex is it's a thermoplastic, and it's basically impervious to fucking oils and alkalis. It dries quickly, doesn't need any maintenance. It's got a drain hole in the bottom, so if it gets dunked in water, all the water's going to drain out very quickly. So starting with the big knife, this is a big chopper. I'm going to go through some things. What I'm going to do is go through the characteristics that I look for in a big fucking survival knife. So got to be comfortable in the hand. I'm going to put that down. So this is a heavy fucking knife, right? It's got a 7mm thick blade. If you go for something like this, you have to look at the edge geometry. So this has got a very high grind. If you go for a knife this thick and it's the grind is sort of down here somewhere, like you see on a lot of military grind. By the grind, I mean this bevel that's ground into the blade here, from here all the way to the edge, right? If it's only up to here on a lot of things, it will act more like a wedge, and it won't fucking slice things very well. It'll get stuck in stuff. So what this has, it's got what's called a convex grind. So the grind is actually convexed like this, not flat or concave. Concave is good for skinning, but you don't want anything that's going to take impact. You want as much material behind the cutting edge as possible, and that will make a resilient edge. So I would always go for either a full flat grind or a convex edge, preferably a convex if it's going to be a big chopping survival knife. Okay, this blade is made from 01 carbon tool steel, so it will tarnish, so it does oxidize, but it's a good tool steel is a good carbon steel, and tool steels are good options because they're hard enough and resilient enough to hold an edge very well, but they're soft enough that you don't need diamond to sharpen them. So I could sharpen this on a fucking brick if I needed to, or you know, some other kind of abrasive stone that you could find in a survival situation. The heavy spine is really fucking great for breaking things open, you know, breaking nuts open, all this sort of stuff. Don't use a fucking knife as a pry bar. That's not what it's for. And you can use this with something like, for splitting wood, you can place it on top of the piece of wood and then hammer it through. That's called battoning, to split fucking huge logs open. Yeah, so that's what this has. I've lined the actual... I mean, this is a custom knife. Obviously, I fucking made it. So you're not going to necessarily find all these characteristics unless you go to a custom maker. So this has like walnut handles, but I've lined it with copper. The reason being is copper is naturally antibacterial. It carries a positive charge. So any bits of fucking grime and stuff that get in there, I can clean it all with water, but basically it's not going to fucking keep any nasties alive in any little nooks and crannies. And that is also, it's mechanically fixed with rivets. So this is what's called, this is called a full tang knife. So you can see it's basically a slab of metal, and then I've riveted and glued the handle scales onto the outside. So it's held on mechanically, it's held on chemically with the glue, and because the entire thickness of the blade goes all the way through that handle, this is called the tang, T-A-N-G. That makes it extremely fucking strong. Unlike a knife that you can't see this, it will have like a stick tang inside it. It's way weaker. So if you're fucking pounding on it with a stick or something like that, or you're chopping through something, it's going to it's liable to break. So this is the strongest method of construction. Okay, so that's my main knife. Then I have it riding what's called a piggyback system. So I've then got a small knife here, which is really fucking deft, and this is perfect for skinning game, perfect for getting the guts out of things, skinning fish, making fine trap components, and easy to fucking hold. I've also made it so that the handle on this is made of something called micarta, which is a resin and canvas laid up, put in a hydraulic press, left to set, and then put on the sides. But the handles on this one aren't glued on like they are on the big one, because this isn't for taking like heavy fucking pounding or anything like that. So these have Allen keys, and I carry a small Allen key with it so I can remove these handle scales, so that in a case of it is full tang again, so I can actually use this without the handle scales attached, so that in a medical emergency I can quickly drop this whole fucking knife without the scales. So I can take these scales off, so there's no places for any bacteria or anything to adhere to. I can drop the whole knife into a pot of boiling water and sterilize it. And then if I need to fucking perform surgery or fucking, you know, do anything like that on somebody, then I can sterilize the blade for that purpose. The blade grind, which is again very important, as you can see, it's not as high up, so the bevel isn't as high up. This is what's called a Scandi grind. A Scandi grind is one single bevel that comes from here all the way to the edge, so it doesn't have a secondary bevel like on this. So as you can see with this, the grind starts here, comes to the edge, and then there's a second grind that you can see here that goes. But this the grind goes all the way to the edge, so it makes it like a plane blade, you know, a plane for planing wood, which makes it, because that's the main thing that I'll be using this for, is making trap components, fire sticks, things like that for making fires. And so fine carving, and it's very small and easily maneuverable, okay? And that particular grind, it's called a Scandi or Scandinavian grind, is very, very good for wood carving. It's not as resilient as the type of blade here, where you've got a full flat grind followed by a secondary bevel. Good, but again, for survival situations, I would not go for any type of folding knife. I do carry a folding knife all the time. And again, so a folding knife, I like things that can be one-handed opening. And I use these as my backup. This is my everyday knife that I fucking use for everything, all the time. I fucking slice my cheese with it, slice my salami with it, open all my boxes and packages and letters with it. I use these fucking, I collect and make knives, so I've got thousands of them. A good brand is Spyderco. I'll hold this up so you can read it. There we go. Spyderco. It's backwards. Spyderco. And a good shop to get these from in the UK is Heine Haynes. HEINNIEHAYNES. They're based in Wales, local family company, and they are fucking awesome for all the best quality cutting tools. And they've got loads of survival gear, torches, head torches. They import all the good shit from America, including this top. This is Tad gear. This is amazing stuff. But yeah, I go for one-handed opening, one-handed closing, so that I've got my other hand free, and I also like a pocket clip on my knife, so that rides in the pocket like that, so I don't have to put my whole hand in the pocket. It's always there, and then it's ready to go all the time. So yeah, Spyderco is a good, Cold Steel is a good mid-range thing. Gerber is a good mid-range brand. I mean, you can spend a fucking lot of money. I mean, for me to make someone a knife, I'd be charging a couple of grand, and that doesn't include the sheath. But please don't fucking start DMing me for that, because I'm way too busy at the moment to be making stuff for people. I've got a million things I need to make for me right now. So that is a brief introduction to cutting tools. I'll do the specialist one on axes and saws in a wee bit. So yeah, get into that. Like I said, carbon steel, 01 tool steel is a good option. You can go stainless. Do a bit of research on it. 440C is good. Do not get any 440A steel. It's crap. And you can go for things like powder steels, but I mean, you're going to be spending a fucking lot of money, and then you need specialist diamond tools to be able to sharpen them properly. And again, you'll find that with some of the Spyderco knives as well. So yeah, when it comes to multi-tools, I love the Leatherman. Leatherman is the best, but I'll do a whole special on multi-tools in a bit. So hopefully that was useful for people. Yeah, the knife is the foundational tool, because you can use it to keep you alive. You can make fucking make other tools with a knife from wood. You can build shelter with it. You can make fire with it. You can gut animals with it. You can build traps with it. And you can use it for self-defense. So the knife is the most fucking important tool, right? Because you can even make, you know, friction firelighting kits with it and things like that. So even if you don't have a lighter or firelighting tool, it's the one fucking tool that's very difficult to replicate in a survival situation. So don't skimp on it. Buy the best fucking knife that you can possibly afford. And hopefully that was helpful.